Hey Broncos, I'm Jen Ferrari, the Associate Director for Career Education in SCU's Career Center. And today I'm really excited to be joined by my colleague, friend, and fellow SCU alum, Moira Kolasinski, who's our Associate Director for Employer Connections. The focus of this episode will be to look ahead to the fall for a recruiting forecast. Moira and her team have been actively engaging with our employer partners as well as with SCU students throughout the summer, and will share with us today what she's been hearing from employers, what employer engagement will look like in our virtual setting this fall, and what you can do to prepare. Welcome, Moira.
Thanks, Jen. I'm happy to be here and happy to be of help.
So to start off, obviously we recognize that so many aspects of our lives look different right now than we might have typically imagined. And students and new grads may be seeing headlines or reading articles about the economic impacts of the pandemic, the availability of jobs. And so I'm really curious, Moira, as you and your team have been connecting with employers, what are you hearing from them? What trends or insights might be emerging?
That is such a great question. And the answer really varies based on the employer and the industry. So typically late spring, early summer, employers with robust early talent recruitment programs will have a sense of what their needs will be and will begin to plan their approach to fall recruitment based on this. However, this year, with the economic landscape shifting due to the pandemic, there are many organizations that are getting a sense of their hiring needs a bit later than they would have historically, even if there's still an intention to invest in early talent. That being said, there are still many industries that are actively recruiting and where there's need. In the last 30 days, there's been over 1,250 employers who have posted positions on Handshake from industries including healthcare, K-12 education, research, nonprofit, internet and software, and others. There were over 2,500 full-time positions posted in Handshake in the month of August alone, and over 1,100 internships. I think it's important to know that companies still care about early talent and are wanting to continue to invest resources there, but that the landscape continues to shift, which can make it difficult for organizations to plan in advance the way they would have in the past. So for students seeking jobs and internships, what this means is taking a broader perspective on the areas in which they're interested in working. And that means having a plan A, B, and C, as well as setting up a flexible and proactive strategy for their search and for how they want to approach engaging with employers. The search may take longer than it would in a different economic landscape.
That's such helpful context and insight. Thank you so much for that. And I'd love to talk a little bit about opportunities for new grads to engage with employers this fall. Typically, fall is a really dynamic recruiting period. We see a lot of in-person employer engagement on campus. So I'm curious, how will things look different this fall in terms of opportunities for our students and new grads to be connecting and engaging with employers?
Oh, that's a really great question too. We will still have a robust employer engagement program this fall. It will just be virtual. It became very clear early this summer that the fall would look different. We knew that employers were by and large planning for fully virtual fall recruiting for a host of reasons, including health and safety, budget, travel constraints, and we wanted to be sure that the different engagement opportunities that we offered would still be meaningful and impactful for students and employers. So rather than assume what would work, we brought together two groups of student and employers for discussion and design sessions over the summer. Based on what we heard, we put together our fall program to include virtual coffee chats via Zoom, career-themed pop-ins held via Zoom, which are opportunities for students to connect in small groups with organizations hiring in a particular career area like government and public service or sales, marketing, and communications. We will hold 3 career fairs virtually using Handshake's career fair platform. I am really excited about the virtual career fair experience from Handshake. It was very thoughtfully designed not to replicate the in-person career fair experience virtually, but instead to reimagine the fair experience to align with the meaning and purpose behind fairs for students and employers. There will be no queues or waiting in line. Students will be able to sign up in advance for video-enabled 10-minute one-on-one conversations with participating employers, as well as for 30-minute larger group sessions that are also video-enabled. We're very excited about the experience this will provide for both students and employers and the opportunity to have meaningful connections in a virtual space. Our fairs will be the Fall Bash on September 30th, the STEM Fair on October 14th, and new this year, based on feedback from students, will be a values-driven fair on October 28th. One theme that came through very clearly from students during the design sessions is how important it is that they are hearing from employers what their values are, particularly as it relates to how they're addressing issues of racial injustice and taking active and meaningful steps in supporting diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging within their organizations. Students are paying attention to how employers are treating their employees during the pandemic as well. So led by Shelley Barber, our events and operations manager, we wanted to create a fair that would give employers who are actively addressing these important issues a forum to showcase what they're doing and for students to connect with employers that feel values aligned for them. In addition, as an office, we are asking employers who register for every event that we host to communicate what their values are and how they support issues of diversity, equity, inclusion, and belonging within their organizations so that we can share this information with students in advance of our events. Beyond the opportunities that our office is hosting, there are many organizations that are posting their own events in Handshake, from virtual site visits to tech talks to info sessions. All of these can be found under the events tab in Handshake.
This is so great. Just such an exciting lineup of opportunities for our students and employers to connect virtually. And as Moira said, all of these events will be posted in Handshake, also on our events calendar on our website. So really important for you to stay kind of on top of, keep track of all these great opportunities and take advantage of them. So my last question for you, Moira, before we wrap up this episode, I want to talk about how students can prepare to really make the most of this fall recruiting season. What 3 things would you encourage students to do or to focus on leading into this fall?
Oh, I love that question. And there's so many things, but if I had to drill it down to just 3, I would say number 1, first and foremost, absolutely complete your Handshake profile and make it visible to employers. Employers are recruiting virtually this fall, and being visible to them with a completed profile increases your chances of being contacted by employers with roles that might be of interest to you. The next thing I would say is follow employers of interest in Handshake so that you are alerted to their activities in Handshake, and be sure to turn on your email notifications so that you know when these activities were added. And the third thing I would say is more of a big picture approach. I would say approach fall recruitment with a spirit of openness and curiosity. As you think about fall, keep an open mind and a flexible approach. Your plan A may not be an option right at this moment, so I really encourage you to be thinking about what plans B, C, and D are. You may find by being open and curious about what's out there and exploring all options that you discover something you never would have thought of otherwise that could be equally as exciting. And your plan A is not gone forever. It may resurface at a different point in time in your career. I also want to encourage you to consider that given the remote nature of work, even after the pandemic has passed, that the skills that you're developing by engaging in remote learning are going to come into play in whatever job or internship you pursue. Learning to communicate and to collaborate remotely, building relationships in a virtual space, managing your time and finding ways to stay engaged and take care of yourself, they're all valuable skills that will continue to serve you throughout your career. This moment in time is not what any of us plan for or what we would necessarily choose, but there are opportunities that can come from it.
Thank you so much, Moira. These insights and recommendations, kind of that mindset of thinking about how to go into fall, are so helpful, and really appreciate you taking the time to kind of talk this through with us. So in each of our Boost episodes, we leave you with a few challenges to help you take action. And so I really want to use Moira's recommendations for this episode's challenges. The first challenge for you is to complete your Handshake profile. If you have a resume that's updated, you can actually upload that into Handshake, and Handshake will import all of the information from your resume into the different sections of your profile. It's a great time saver. Or you can also just use the questions and prompts that Handshake provides to get your profile really up to date. Add projects, leadership, volunteer opportunities, your skills, and more. Like Moira said, it's going to be so important to have that profile complete, increase the chances of getting reached out to by recruiters, and make sure that you're really showcasing all that you have to offer. Our second challenge is to follow at least 5 employers that you're interested in on Handshake. Do a little research on companies in Handshake. The company pages have really great information. Some of them even include reviews from students who have interned at those organizations in the past. And all of that can be really helpful for you to find some companies that you might be interested in. Click on that follow button, and that will help you make sure you get notified when they post positions or register for some of our events. As we wrap up, I want to let you know that the resources and challenges that we've just shared in this episode are included in a resource document. The links to this document and to our feedback form can be found on our Career Boost website or in the description below this video. We're planning to do future Boost episodes and seasons, so we would love it if you would take a few minutes to complete our feedback survey. Capturing your thoughts and insights will really help us as we plan for future episodes. Thanks again, Moira, so much. Thank you all for watching, and we'll see you next time.